You are listening to Insights with Kathleen. Please join me while I share my insights and experiences with the hope to inspire you to look inside of yourself for the answers that you already have. As with all information we receive, take what speaks to you and leave the rest. Well, hello.
Hi. Hey, guys.
I just wanted to have a pregnant pause. Just you know.
Do they moan like that? Is that what you did?
No, did I moan?
I don't. You're like,
Maybe I was just
someone who enjoyed a
I
little too much grape juice, wine.
Maybe, or I was just feeling my inner ghost or something. I don't know.
Your inner ghost.
Hey, welcome everybody.
Welcome.
Thanks for tuning in with us.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. And we have Sherry back again.
If I'm not
continued,
back, oh my God.
If you're not back, then we're broken.
Then we've had an issue. Okay, Houston, we have a problem. Thank you for having me back, guys.
Yeah. So, Sherry, on this beautiful day, what do you have for us?
Just watch someone. It's like raining somewhere, but it's okay.
Hey, you know what? So today somebody said to me, they were wishing me happy something or other, and then they're like, it's a shame that it's not gonna be such a beautiful day. And I'm like, wait, are you talking because it's gonna rain?
Right.
And they're like, well, yeah. And I'm like, oh no, this is a great day for me because I planted some stuff, and my hose, I didn't want to fiddle with the hose.
Right. You're just like, I didn't want to do that.
So Mother Nature is rescuing me today. So for those of you who have rain, it could be a good day too. It's a good day for cuddling, a good day for napping, or some people like to clean a house when it rains.
It's not, it's a good excuse to do something indoors, right? Because then sometimes I feel like slightly guilty. It's really nice outside, and I'm just like, I guess I have to enjoy that good day. But at least inside, I'm like, all right, it's already crap.
I don't know if I've ever heard a good day is, I guess I gotta go enjoy that good day.
Yeah, because I never really was like a big sunny person. I like when it's an overcast because I sweat a lot. TMI, but there you go, guys.
All right, well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a note of that.
Yes,
no,
of course.
Just kidding. All right, so what do you have for us today?
All right, so what I have for you today, Kathleen, is this. So this has been kind of a struggle for me. So my small project I wanted to do was to build a website. That's something that I wanted to do, but I wanted to do it in a very specific way. And I just felt something urging me like, Sherry, it's the time. Definitely do it. And at every turn, everything possible, like I had to make a logo or something for this website. And at every turn, like, stuff wasn't working. Like, either people weren't getting back to me on emails, people weren't returning my calls. But, like, it just seemed like I don't know. It just seemed like the universe blocked it. It just seemed like something was blocked. And I was like, that's weird, because I want to do this. I have this passion to do it. So now I feel a little bit of guilt saying, like, is it just me being lazy, or do I have to wait? So I guess my question to you in whole is, when do you know when you need to go and when you need to be still? Because I'll hear all these things from people like, I was so determined, I just kept doing it, and then it happened. And then there were people who were like, I just stayed and this happened. So
the magic of the universe.
Right.
What is the magic recipe?
Right. Give me that magic chemical X.
Well, thank you for the question.
No
I think to answer your question, it's kind of like you have to check in with yourself,
Right.
How we've talked about this often,
right?
That you got to check in, and you kind of got to witness to what you're really feeling.
Right.
I know for myself, when I'm faced with those kinds of opportunities,
right,
where there's a lazy day, and I'm just like, all right, I'm not going to judge it.
Right.
I'm just lazy. Okay, that's great. So today's lazy day. Woohoo! It's not to say that, because we do have people who are who are constantly lazy. That's not always a great thing, because there's other problems that can arise.
Right,
from that.
Of course.
But if this is not your normal mode, and you're just kind of feeling like
right,
well, respect the
right,
and because if you don't, then you're resisting.
Right.
And then you're beating your head against something, and then you're becoming more frustrated. Is that fair?
I am very frustrated.
Do you feel that?
Yes.
Yes.
I feel very.
So sometimes it's about, all right, well, you know what? I'm not feeling this right now. So that must mean I need to go do something else.
Right. Right.
And sometimes that could be I'm going to go do something else that brings me joy, or I'm going to go somewhere else and focus on joy.
Right.
Be creative somewhere else.
Right.
For me, sometimes, it's funny because, I do have a day job. And
she does, guys.
And during my day job, I can be hit with all these different things. And then I'll get to a point where I'm like this level of overwhelmness will come in.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, I just need to quiet my world.
Right.
And so, some people will step back and they'll go into breathing and they'll go into meditating and, whatnot. Well, I'm not always great with that. It depends on what it is, right? So if I'm feeling overwhelmed because so much is coming at me,
right,
then I want to do something physical.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So I want to get up and I want to move and I want to do something physical to kind of just start moving some of this energy and sorting it kind of in my head.
Right.
So I might straighten up the area where I'm working.
Okay.
And if I'm working from home, I might go do my dishes. Excuse the snort. Or I might vacuum. Because those are things to where I don't need to be fully engaged in my mind.
Right.
But I can practice mindfulness.
Right.
And mindfulness is a form of meditation.
Right.
Where I can then be in the moment.
Yeah.
And in the moment of the doing of this simple task that doesn't require the brain surgery part of my brain,
oh my
right?
gosh, yes.
And then in doing that, then I'm able to start letting go of that overwhelmed feeling.
Right.
And then it recenters me. So then when I come back, and again, it's like 5-10 minutes, I might step away to do this for this refocus. And when I come back, then it feels more centered, less chaotic.
Right.
So, but to your point, if you're not motivated by something or you're feeling like I'm just not feeling it and I'm just feeling like I'm running more into obstacles than moving forward, then maybe it's time to just let it rest. It doesn't mean you're not doing just because you're not physically doing.
Right.
Here's a little secret about me.
Okay.
You ready?
Secret.
All right, you guys
ready,
listening?
guys? Okay.
So my children, my adult children, I make them nuts, and I've made them nuts through most of their young lives. That's why they're going to spend lots of money on therapy. No, I'm kidding. No, in seriousness, that sometimes they'll ask me for something and they're waiting for me to make a decision.
Right.
Or they'll press me for a decision, and then I move slower. Okay. And it's not to get at them or to retaliate in any way because this pressure's coming.
Right.
But it has more to do with the fact that I need time to make whatever decision or to move in an action. Or if I just don't feel it, like sometimes stuff will come at me and I really want to do whatever it is that they're saying or that they're recommending or they're asking. But there is just this something that's just not sitting right with me.
Right.
And I can almost feel my body get heavy.
Yeah.
And my feet are like in cement.
It's like, no.
And it's like taking everything I have just to lift my leg up to move forward.
Right.
So I stop. I stop and I let that rest. So and sometimes it's for a few minutes. Sometimes it's for days. Sometimes it's for months.
Right.
But then all of a sudden I'll come back to it. And then it's speed lightning.
Wow.
And I kind of make them nuts because that's kind of how I operate sometimes, right? It's just, I think that there's just so much else that's happening in the background of my mind or my spirit or my soul that I'm just respecting my process. That's my process.
Right.
So maybe whatever it is that you're working on, maybe that's part of your process and it's just learning to respect it. It's not to say that it still won't happen.
Right. It
just may need to have a quiet moment.
Right.
You may just need to have a quiet moment.
No, I think I might. And I think, old habits die hard. And I think a big thing, which I pride myself is like whenever I have a passion project, like a podcast or whatever, I put 1,000% of my guts into it. Now, for some reason, I got the misconstrued notion through like media and just through people like, hey, if you're doing a project, you have to like eat, sleep, breathe like that project. You don't take time for yourself. You keep doing it. And I used to like watch biographies and stuff like that of like, yes, this person was in a music studio for like, 4 days straight and like they didn't sleep or eat, and that's dedication. That's hard work. And so like pretty much I'll have that, or maybe, well, I don't have these group of friends now, but group of friends I had before where it was like, oh, I split my time between 1,000 things, and like that's just how you almost have to suffer to get your work done.
Oh, well, it's kind of crazy, and it's interesting because in my day job,
right,
we did happen to talk about this today, and sorry. And part of what we were talking about was here in the United States, we glorify being busy.
Right.
What the hey? What is this?
I don't know.
I want to go live somewhere else where they have the siesta at 12 noon, or, or in France where they know when to stop work and then just chillax, right? It's not a badge of honor.
It is not.
To constantly be busy. It should not be a badge of honor where, hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm really busy.
I have this project and that.
Really? Is that a good thing? Man, I love it when people say, so how you doing, Kathleen?
Nothing.
Hey, I'm pretty okay. And they're like, huh? And I'm like, yeah. You know what? I was just sitting down reading this book, or I was just out there in the sun. I was playing. And they're like, what? And then they look at me weird. It's like, dude, life is about play.
It is.
You can work and play.
Right. And you were, and it's just funny because I would like talk to someone before, and their motto at the time was like, I think you live, you die, and you have taxes, or something like that. Just saying how like short life is, and that most of the time it's work, and like you have to work all the time. And I'm like, gosh, who made that notion that work is like the only thing in your life? I don't know.
Well, I think that, this is a whole nother topic for a whole nother day, because we can really go down this rabbit hole, right? Where we can talk about that, how we perceive what work is, the kind of work you do to pay the bills, and the kind of work you do because you just have fun doing it, kind of like doing this website, right?
Right.
This website is part of your passion,
right?
And it's something that you really want to do. You feel driven to go for it, right? And you feel this pressing on it, but as you're sitting down to do it, you just feel like you're just hitting wall after wall after wall after wall. Right. So there's resistance.
Yep.
So maybe it's just a matter of looking a different way for a little while. Maybe it's a plan that, like, maybe it's still going to happen. Right. But maybe there's a plan that you need to finish working out before you actually put fingers to keyboard.
Right. No, I think you're right. And I think because I want to go in the entertainment business, I think for me, there was always a stigma, not towards my immediate family or whatever, but just people like, oh, it's really hard to get into that, or like you had to know these connections. And I guess for me, there's almost a subconscious level of like, oh God, I really got to always be working on this or something, or maybe I might not get it. I don't know. It was just like that level of like fear, I guess, unknowing. I don't know, because it's, one of those fields like that. So I guess for me, like not being able to, but like having all these walls, I'm just like, wait. Is it weird that I'm sitting still? Is it weird that I'm
no, it's amazing on how many things are discovered by somebody just sitting still. Right. Because even though we have the perception that we're still and we're not moving, believe me, you're still moving. Believe me, things are still happening. Wow. Just the universe that we live in, if we look at everything around us, from the seasons to our earth to the moon until to our sun, and how things are rotating and things are spinning and things are moving, the seasons are changing, people are growing, people are dying. You know what I mean? Right. So it is just a constant change. I mean, just look at these past few years, just how much change that has happened just across the globe all at once, right? So that is the constant. The constant is change. Sitting still, right? That's a fallacy.
True. You're never sitting still.
No. So I think maybe what you're trying to reconcile is the sitting still productive?
Right. Yeah.
Right. So tell me, as I practically ate this microphone, shifting my seat.
Delicious.
what happens when you sit still?
I mean, I find a lot of breakthroughs, and I find out a bunch of things. I reconcile a bunch of things, and things just end up happening for me. I've noticed when I'm able to sit still. And I guess, before a while back, maybe like a year ago, if I were to have this conversation with myself, my younger self would have been like, no, we can't control the future. If you just find a way to control it, then maybe it'll work in your favor. But I've just learned like sitting still. And I think that's something I'm trying to still reconcile with myself. Like, hey, it's okay. Like, I think it's almost a guilt thing. Like, hey, it's okay to like still work, have fun, and have that balance. Because I think for a lot of times in the media, just be like, if you're not breaking your back, you're not working hard enough for it. But now I'm having this nice little balance of like, wow, I'm actually enjoying it. I'm not breaking my back. I'm not really following any of the rules, and I'm still going pretty far for what I'm doing.
I hear what you're saying, and it's kind of funny because there's things I like to experiment with. So I really do believe in the magic of who we are and what we're all capable of.
Right.
We all are capable of it. And part of that is, having more than enough time to get everything accomplished. Like,
right.
So when I wake up in the morning, part of my routine for waking up in the morning is I want to center myself, right? I want to make sure I'm nice and grounded. And I want to make sure that I'm connected with my higher self or with spirit. So I just want to make sure that I'm fully aligned in that way.
Right.
And especially aligned for what's in line with my highest good.
Right.
So one of the things that I keep asking, and I put in, my order, right? So I put my little order in for the day.
Right.
Yeah. So, and part of that is just to have more than enough time to get everything accomplished.
Right.
That needs to get accomplished, right? I'm coming to find that I have more than enough time, and I am so joyful for how much extra time I have that the human in me can't help it but step back and go, right, what are you doing wrong? You have all this time.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Instead of celebrating,
right.
So I have to give that little human in me a check and say, no, we're doing everything right.
We are.
And now we're going to go have fun.
Right.
And then the other part of that too, until you can really get there, is the practice, those boundaries. When we talk about boundaries, we talk about personal boundaries in relationships. We talk about, personal boundaries with ourselves, and definitely around work.
Right.
Those are personal boundaries that we need to establish for ourselves so that we can teach those people that we engage with, this is how we'd like to be engaged with, right?
Right.
For instance, now where I work, we're all working from home.
Right.
And it's really, really easy to cross over certain boundaries.
Right.
Well, you know what? I get up and this is the time I start working.
Right.
And this is the time I stop working. Now, there'll be some nights, depending on projects or whatnot, I might, drip over a little later, but not often. But a lot of times, there's my cutoff.
Right.
If I'm past my cutoff because of a project, I'm not emailing anyone. I don't want anyone to know. I mean, they could easily find out, but I really just don't want to encourage the correspondence.
Be like, oh, she's already there. Babe.
And I won't answer it until the next day.
Right.
The people that I report into, they know that this is me respecting my time allotment. Like my work time is here.
That's good.
Because if I don't, my personal life just sort of kind of falls apart, because then everything's backed up, and then we're not eating because nobody's shopping or nobody's ordering the food online to be delivered, right? And and the laundry's piling up, so the house is smelling because the dishes aren't getting done, the laundry's not getting, and then now I'm really crazed. So that how's that loving and respectful of me? And it's not.
Right.
And or of my family. So setting those boundaries and giving myself permission not to be this what's the word I'm looking for here?
A robot?
Not just a robot, but
a Stepford wife?
A martyr. That's the word that just wouldn't come. Thank you. A martyr.
You're welcome.
A martyr to my job.
Right.
Or a martyr to work, because here in the United States, we all believe that you got to be busy.
Right.
What do you mean you're not busy? What do you mean you're not putting in 18 hours a day?
Right. I think you're extremely right because, like, even like with people my age, they'll be talking about works like, how many did you put this week? 20. That's nothing. I put in 80. That's nothing. I put in 100. I'm like, oh my God, like, why do you even want to?
Yeah, they're glorifying, and it's like, really? Hey, guess what, dude? I put in 20. And guess what? I got paid for 80. Like, why can't we tell that story?
Right. And even
I'm not saying that that's what happened to me, but I mean, that would still be a good story to tell.
And I was having a conversation with my friend like maybe a couple weeks ago about, we talk about like with jobs and like working 80 hours and if you just work hard enough and whatever, which obviously hard work is great. But she's like, I'm making more now than I did at my other like job of employment and I work less. And, it's just like little things like that where,
Yeah. So the thing is, and again, like I said, this is a whole big topic probably for a whole nother conversation. It's the amount of energy that we put into something, and when we're expanding that energy, what's the exchange? What are we getting back in exchange? Not that it should ever be tit for tat, you know what I mean? And
or tit for tit.
You're someone too, and just know I am not gay. I'm kidding.
She's kidding. She's gay, guys. Go on.
She wishes.
Well.
Anyway, stop flirting with me.
I'm not doing anything.
It's just we can still show up fully ourselves. We can still give, our best in the jobs that we do. But I think that we need to start changing the stories for ourselves. And we don't always need to be busy.
Right.
Hey, how you doing? Oh, yeah, you know what, man? I got to sit and meditate today.
That's nice.
For 10 hours.
Jesus.
I mean, like, right? I mean, like, I could never, I can't even
10
meditate
hours?
for 20. I'm just teasing, but I'm just saying.
She's not.
Like, like, how cool would it be? And meditation isn't just sitting on your fanny. It could be out walking in nature.
I love
that. It could be
that.
doing your dishes, but mindfully. Mm-hmm. It could be listening to music. It could be dancing. It could be just about anything that brings you joy and puts you in the moment.
Doing the worm brings me joy.
There you go. Put you in the moment.
Right. Hurts my boobs though.
Oh, I'm sure it would.
It would.
I'm sure it would. All right. So anyway, back to our topic.
Right.
Yeah. So when you're working on a project and you're kind of feeling like this resistance because you're banging into walls and it's just not moving forward or things are falling apart, it doesn't always mean walk away, give it up. That's not for you. Sometimes it can mean that.
Right.
But sometimes it could just be, it's just not ready to be birthed yet.
It is not.
Right? And maybe it's just, maybe I just need to step back, let this rest, take care of me, center me.
Right.
Maybe I just need to stop for 5 minutes and breathe and just focus on my breath. Right. And then maybe, whatever the fog is or whatever that resistance is, it kind of clears and then the aha moment comes, right?
Right.
So just honor what comes up for you.
Okay. Yeah, no, I do see something of like, I want to do it, but it's like, oh, don't worry, you'll do it, just not right now. Just like, it's not time. It's almost like if someone plants a seed, you've done this many times for me before where you're like, hey, here's an idea. And then you just kind of walk away. And then I later absorb it. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a great idea. Just like little things like that. So I love the website. I'm going to do it. But yeah, I'm definitely going to take a break.
And who knows, with the way that the energies of the universe are lining up here, from what I understand, I'm not an expert in it, but from what I do understand, I think that this is more of a time of reflection for most of us.
Right.
And reflection doesn't necessarily mean, you trash it, you stop it, you never go back. It just means it's time to go within.
Right.
It's time to see what's happening inside of ourselves.
Right.
And just align there and kind of to rest. Right. And let it go for the time being. You can come back to it later.
I have the weirdest analogy for this.
Okay.
Okay, you want to hear it, guys?
Lay it on.
So I guess for me, and I think you're right, I think it is a time of reflection for me. And it's almost the equivalent of like eating a Big Mac, right? You eat a Big Mac cheeseburger from McDonald's. You eat it in like
so unhealthy.
2 bites, right? And after that, you have a pint of ice cream, like just right after. And I guess for me, if I had to choose, it's kind of like I'm eating the Big Mac and I really want to eat pint of ice cream immediately, but I know that'll make me sick. So I'm like, let me just digest this. Let me just reflect. Let me just think about what I ate. And then a little later in the day, maybe that ice cream, probably that ice cream later. And that's just kind of how I feel. Because I feel like if I did this, trying to process my world and myself, then trying to do a website, I'd be like, wow, I can't do it.
And that's fair. And I think that would be true for most people. Though personally, I would have eaten the ice cream and left the burger for later.
What? Who eats ice cream first? That doesn't even make any sense.
Well, see, that's the fun of it.
Wait, so you would eat the burger later?
Well, in your analogy, for following your analogy.
Right, my analogy.
I would set the burger aside, eat the ice cream first, and then come back to the burger when I can really think about it and digest it. Because to me, in my mind, this tells you how warped my mind is, okay?
Okay.
So in my mind, it takes less fuel and less energy to digest the ice cream than it would a McDonald's Big Mac with how many buns? 4 buns? So
there are
2
three.
Buns. Oh,
there are 3 buns
3
and 2
buns.
sauces.
2 sauces,
2
some
patties.
lettuce, and 2 patties. Yeah.
And onions. You can't forget the onions.
Oh, the onions probably is what makes it. But never mind. I'm going to get into the whole how the burger does never digest anyway.
Oh yeah, no, it won't.
Right. So do you see where I'm going? So I would take the thing that's easier to digest, leave the thing that's going to be a little more difficult to digest.
Right. That's a good analogy for how I feel, because the logo for my website, it was pretty easy to make. I just drew it.
You ate the ice cream first.
I didn't. Whatever. I ate my ice cream first, and the largest thing to digest was the Big Mac burger, which is a website, because it's not a small feat to do.
No, it's not.
It's like you got to customize it. You got to see what's on it. And for like the things that I'm doing now, I don't even know all the things I'm going to be putting on there yet.
And that would be important to have the plan, right?
That would be
or
important.
Or at least an outline of the plan.
Right. And I think for what I'm doing right now, it's going to be ever changing, and it's just going to be expanding. And since I don't have that full scope of what I'm doing, it'd be hard to draw a map if I don't know all the islands I am going to.
All right. So tell me, Sherry, from this conversation, how do you feel about the response? What do you think you're going to do? Was this helpful?
Oh, okay. We got compound questions. I love this. Yes, this conversation was helpful. What if I said no? Like, geez.
Well, then we would just keep talking.
This was very, very helpful. You did confirm what I was feeling, because I was feeling a sense of like, I think I need to be still and just wait for something. But I felt a little bit of guilt, being like, oh, maybe I'm lazy or something. But you made me feel better about that.
Good.
And yeah, I just think this is like a small snippet into what I'll be doing in the future, because I even felt the same way about a YouTube channel. And at the time I was overwhelmed. And then now I'm like, okay, I could see myself doing that later. So I do feel a lot better about this. I'm definitely going to honor the whole like sitting still and waiting, because that's a big thing I'm learning.
And the other thing that you can, I would encourage you, not that you have to do this, but I would encourage you to investigate the guilt part. So you've mentioned guilt a couple of times.
Oh, nice.
So just for those listening too, if you do feel guilty about something,
right,
then it's an opportunity to stop and check in with yourself. What's driving that feeling? Is it a program that still resides inside of me that I need to reconcile?
Right.
Is it a level of shame over something? Does that need healing? How do I go about healing it? And of course, if you do have those things, do get some help with it. Don't suffer in vain or alone.
No.
But a lot of times we can clear those things on our own.
Right.
But it is just about that's practicing that self-love.
Right.
Is checking in with, okay, why is this guilt rising? Why am I judging this? Right? And giving yourself permission not to judge, number one, and to embrace yourself lovingly,
Right.
Not that you need to get into that here, but I just wanted to encourage you to make sure that, like, you know, when you're stepping back and you're taking this time to reflect,
Right.
right? Because reflection is basically going inside, right?
Yeah.
And just see why. You know, is it because of the standards that most U.S. of A people put in place, like the workers of the United States of America? You know?
Yeah, I think for me, in a very like skimmed sense, I think I'm a pretty optimistic person. Would you agree? I'm very optimistic, and I guess, you know, there's like a small percent of me that doubts myself sometimes,
we all have
especially in entertainment, because I see all these statistics like, oh, most of these people don't make it, or I just overhear people, and I've heard this before, but I'm trying to be like, yes, I am optimistic, and for the most part I am, but there's just always a small part of me that's like, oh no, what if this doesn't work? Or
what if what if those statistics that you're listening to is part of a program?
Ooh. Say more things. What do you mean?
So I think sometimes as human beings we get caught up in numbers and stats and things. I mean, like, it all serves its purpose. I'm not saying that it doesn't. But when you're a creative individual such as yourself, and it's something that you are striving for and you're going for, why are you measuring yourself against it? Why not just stand in being you and celebrate you? Who cares how anybody else has gotten there? The only time that I personally would look into how did somebody else get there is just to see, okay, what potential avenues to give me a starting point. But you know what? Sometimes and this could be a good ego, a bad ego, but sometimes I just want to break the ground. You know,
right.
Sometimes, you know, it's good to know that somebody did it this way in case I need something to fall back on, but don't get hung up on the rules or the stats or the, you know, the measurements of how this person did it, and they sweat blood and tears to get there,
and
they never ate, and they never peed, and they never ever.
No, I love that. You're right, because sometimes, you know, some people go in the rabbit hole of like YouTube, so I get in the rabbit hole of documentaries, and I'll see all these musicians and whatever, and I'll just see things, I'm like, none of this resonates with me. I don't think I'm gonna get there that way. And I guess, like, you know, I'm just like, oh, it's weird that I don't know how, but I'm trying to let go of that and be like, nah, it's fun. You're gonna have another way that's gonna happen. So I'm trying not to get caught up in comparisons with other people, because a lot of people in my field, for some reason, get discovered at like in their early 20s, and I'm like, that is okay.
Well, you know, and sometimes I think that's just their built-in contract, right? Their soul contract,
right?
That was something that they set up before they even got here. So, you know, I think the key is just to be happy with who we are, not just, but to be happy with who we are, where we are, know that we're living on purpose. And what's our purpose? What's your purpose here?
Jesus.
Amen.
Amen.
Even Jesus was saying our purpose for each and every one of us, your purpose, Sherry, on this planet, you came here on purpose,
right?
And that was to be you.
I like that one better.
Yeah. So my purpose is to be me, and only I could be me. I can't be you because you're the best version of you. Okay?
Try right now.
No, there's just no way. So you weren't here to be that person at 19 getting discovered. Right?
Oh, that would not look good on me.
Oh. But I will tell you that you are here on purpose, purposefully being Sherry.
Right.
And you will purposefully be where you need to be when you need to be there.
I like that. So much less pressure.
Amen.
Amen. No, I love that a lot, and I think that's just now sinking in, because I feel like I've heard you say this before, but before I'm like, oh, if I just was here at this time, or this, that, and the other thing, because there'd be people in front of me who would be discovered in that sense, and I'm like, man, if I was just there, if I just went. But now I'm like, no, I wouldn't have had all these experiences I had, and I still have more experiences going on.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Well, thank you so much for bringing this topic to us this evening.
No problem.
And thank you, everyone, for listening. Have a good night. Thank you for tuning in. Remember that you are bigger than anything that you're going through or anything that is happening around you.